cheers, or whatever they say when you have a cup of tea in your hand. Michael's on the coffee this morning on the podcast. Good morning, welcome to your Lurgan podcast. I'm Donagh McKeown.
And I'm Michael Scott. Having a latte, would you believe? A latte.
I'm telling you, you're the boy. That's real fancy, that is.
So some people would call, was it liberal latte drinkers apparently, but
well, it's far from latte. I was reared, as they also say, good cup of tea. Mind you, never had it in polystyrene before, but there you go. Welcome to your Lurgan's podcast, where it's almost like Groundhog Day to some degree, because we're talking about the same things that we were this time last week, with not much direct resolve. And I think it would refer to the ongoing workers' strike in the ABC Council, much the same as it has been.
Very much so. I think you'll probably find a lot of the topics we'll be covering today we've gone over before, but sort of developing them a wee bit, so don't worry, it's not the exact same content as before. I haven't cheated you into 2 podcasts, but
that would be a good idea.
It would be actually. Just this is a repeat of last week's podcast. No, I suppose we should start off what has been the major news story throughout the week, not just here but across the world, I suppose, again. But the death of the second their thoughts and views on it.
Very much so. Firstly, to David Martin, who is part of Brownlow House and very much a big connection with Her Majesty the Queen, and that's where they had a Jubilee or Diamond Jubilee party in recent months. And of course, David and the other members of the group there had special ceremonies during the week. We'll get a little flavour of what David had to say.
It was actually quite a shock. I don't think really anybody expected to happen so quick, but I think it really was, the news breaking was the sense of history, of something historical had just happened in the death of a monarch who had served for 70 plus years. And for all of us, a man of my age, 60 years of age, and others, we've never known anybody but Queen Elizabeth to be on the throne. I just think it was the magnitude of what had happened certainly left us very shocked and even, I'll be honest with you, emotional.
Had the Queen ever been to Lurgan or close to her Brownlow House?
The Queen had never visited Lurgan, Donagh, but the Queen Mother was here in 1953 as part of the coronation celebrations as well. But we are very proud to say that the present King, which Charles, was with us no less than 3 years ago and spent over 2.5 hours here at Brownlow House.
So David was clearly emotional talking about that particular event, as you'd expect, and I think the event went ahead. No pictures to prove, but
there was, because I think whenever we walked past there was a few flowers sitting there.
Oh, very much. I was about to say I was up that way, and lots of flowers around
the
memorial.
Quite a few of those events actually happening throughout the place. I know there was one in Donaldstown on Thursday night, and there was one in Donaghcloney on possibly Tuesday as well. So yeah, people coming out and, you know, obviously keen to commemorate the life of the Queen and remember her for, you know, what she did. And then obviously we had the King's visit and Queen Camilla, the Queen Consort, sorry.
And they got as far as Royal Hillsborough, of course.
And then on to Belfast as well. I know there was local people down there as well having a look at that. My mum went down, saw the King and the Queen. And yeah, it was a very touching moment, I think, for anybody who was down at it. So
we talked also to Roberta McNally, who is part of the British Legion and also a former, a recipient of the BEM award this year from Her Majesty the Queen. I should call her Roberta McNally BEM. And she gave us her thoughts on the whole circumstances. She got to meet the Queen on a couple of occasions, as you would have seen. What was remarkable was the story that she was able to tell about her aunt, who had also, right at the start of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, was given the BEM award too. Very well known throughout Lurgan, this lady, you'll see the picture as we speak, out getting poppies. And lo and behold, what turned out to be the final awards of the reign of Queen Elizabeth II Roberta was able to be awarded the very same reward, as it were, the BEM medal, which I thought was touching and sort of historic, certainly for Roberta and her family, and I suppose for the people of Lurgan too.
Yeah, I remember actually talking to Roberta at the time whenever she got her award, and her immense pride of getting that reward for her work. I mean, Roberta does a lot of good work in and around the area in regards to poppy collections and with the Legion and whatnot. So yeah, I suppose we should take a flavour of what she said.
My great aunt was amongst those who were first awarded by Her Majesty the Queen, and she was awarded the BEM for something similar to myself. And so she was the first, and I now am the last. Now I knew, there was 70 years between her getting hers and her getting mine, but I didn't realise at the time, obviously, that she was the first and I am now the last.
And what was your aunt's name?
Ada Rowland. So she's now Ada Rowland BEM. And any older people on the town will have known my Aunt Ada from collecting for the Poppy Appeal. When back in the day, you had, now you're not allowed to ask people, people have to come forward to you. But back in the day, before all that came about, my Aunt Ada wouldn't have took no for an answer. She was a record breaker in her time for collecting for the Poppy Appeal. And obviously she was awarded the BEM for that.
And thank you to Roberta McNally, BEM, and to David Martin earlier for joining us on their thoughts, or with their thoughts on your Lurgan. So there has been other ongoing news of a very different circumstance, as we said at the top. Yeah, the strike is still on, or at least when we're recording this, things might change as quickly as that. What's it been now, 5 weeks? Coming up to 6?
I would say it's unlikely by the time this comes out that the situation will have changed because of the way things work and how we need to wait on meetings happening and things like that. But yeah, we're still sitting there with no bins emptied. We're sitting with piles upon piles of rubbish sitting outside our dumps and across the place. And I know you were out taking some footage of that during the week. What was it? I mean, I called past on Tuesday. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute because I got a bit angry. But the one thing I took away from it was the absolute stink of the place. I mean, what was it like for you?
There was an aroma, that's for sure, and that was not because I was there. It certainly was at different places. It was more apparent, certainly at the New Line dump itself. And there's always going to be that. It surprised me too, and you're always, consideration of what you're doing. I parked fairly safely in all the places, and you're wondering, are people watching you just in case you're going to be dumping yourself? And I didn't have anything to drop on or leave, or no intention of doing it. But what amazed me at a couple of the places was that it was fresh, kept getting fresher, and I'm certain when I went past the same places, not quite a few hours later, that they were increasing as well. And there were a couple of places that I didn't get it filmed. One notably quite close to a litter bin that was quite close to a school run, and they were piled high there. This was in the centre of Craig Avenue, one of the developments, or close to it, and I thought that's a bit scary. At least, albeit not much distance, at least it's not in the middle of housing or close to where people are walking past, but this one was. I'm not saying exactly where it was.
Well, that feeds in nicely. A couple of things you've said there feed in nicely to my two stories I'm going to tell on this podcast. On Tuesday night, I was on my way over to Mourneview for the football, which we'll talk about again later, and I was going over with the intention of doing some footage, or taking some footage of what the situation was down at the dump. And when I arrived, I saw a carload of men, grown men, emptying bag upon bag of rubbish on the pile. I don't know why, but instead of getting out of the car and doing what was there to do, I got angry. I have to admit, I got angry. I was just shouting across at them, what do you think you're doing? Like, I understand it's a very hard one to call. I got very cross about it because where the dump is very near to a graveyard, and for me it's starting now to get a little bit disrespectful. In a way, I know people have issues that don't know where to put their rubbish, have no room. Some people don't have room, genuinely don't have room, to live in flats and they don't have anywhere to put their rubbish, that's fair enough. But we're looking at things there. There's baths sitting down there. There's big industrial food cartons sitting there. You can't tell me that these people don't have room for those. I just don't understand how. I got very cross with these people. Like, what do you think you're doing? The place is a tip. Have a bit of respect. And drove off in a huff to the football.
They didn't come after you, did they?
No, no, they didn't. I was just very, very angry about it. I don't know why, because I can understand why certain people are doing it, but the reason, I think the reason why I got so angry was because I knew that the waste they were dumping off wasn't necessarily household waste. That's what I'm trying to say. And I have an idea of the sort of business that the people who were dumping this may have been working, or may have worked in, shall we say, because look, going by the waste, I mean, I'm making an assumption here, but
it'd be interesting to see if there's any retrogressive kind of steps taken to identify people
that's
who
something
who
that we asked the council about that last week, and then their response didn't really say yeah or nay. They sort of just indicated that they just want people to try and keep their household waste at home until this is resolved. Which is all well and good until the rats come in.
We took a chance to go down to see just how Skelton buses were getting on, or buses commandeered by, that sounds dramatic, doesn't it? That were ordered by Skelton Travel, and they had the tickets sold, and all the people of Lurgan en masse were there. They had about 7 or 8.
Not the entire population of Lurgan, you understand?
Well, it seemed like it. 7 or 8 on the Saturday, they'd been previously on the Friday, and there were more to go on the Sunday. Real buzz of excitement and anticipation. There was a lot of fun. You may have seen the report. Got really good response. Here's a little extract. So I'm with George Skelton, Skelton Travel. You've seen Garth Brooks come and go and come back again, haven't you, George? How many times have you sold tickets for this event?
He's been a phenomenon from when he first started off here. And the 97 was the big Croke Park shows when he did the three fantastic shows. He had played a couple of indoor shows before that, and then he came back 2003, 2004. So it's great to get him back after all these years.
This weekend there's 28 buses going from Skelton Travel down to Croke Park here for the Garth Brooks concert. So I'm sort of just helping out as a courier. So there's going to be a lot of people getting on and off, and there's no actual designated park for the coaches. So what they're going to do, drop them off at one end or the other, just to make sure everybody gets on and off, home safe on the right bus.
Just looking forward to seeing Gareth again. We've seen him in Las Vegas in 2019 or 2018. Yeah.
So he'll definitely recognise you then. That person, yeah.
Well, we're hoping to get on stage about maybe 8:30 towards 9.
Are you going to sing a song for them?
Oh well, yeah. Well,
And
what we like, Colin?
What's the song? What's the song that you like?
I think if tomorrow never comes.
Oh, well, give us a burst of it there.
If tomorrow never comes.
Woo! See that? You got a standing ovation for that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks very much. Enjoy your trip.
We will.
Well, my wife is still talking about it. She was down on it last Saturday.
Oh, she loved it.
She loved it. Thoroughly enjoyed herself, and I got to stay at home with the wee man, which was great for me too, because at that time I didn't have to go and listen to Garth Brooks.
Well, I would have gone with them. I just had other commitments. And as this podcast goes out, I may or may not have taken the opportunity. Maybe I've only got a couple of days left, so it's unlikely that I have. But if I have, you'll see the vision now, right now. Really, what we're saying is...
Hey, go on!
How are you going there, sir? Yes, see, we're doing this live, that proves it.
We'll move on to the world of sport. And a record breaker at Mourneview Park.
Absolutely.
Young Christopher Atherton, excuse me while I rub my nose, who broke the UK record for being the youngest player to play at a top class level of football at 13 years and 300 and something days, which is incredible.
Absolutely incredible. I did see some of the extracts. You were at the match?
I was. We were there to break the record-breaking news.
And your intention or your belief about his performance and the whole scenario?
in terms of his performance, I thought he was very good. He came on, he didn't look out of place. He set up a goal of his first touch. He almost scored with his second touch. I think it was the second touch. It wasn't long after. He looked very good in the ball, very composed. And at the time whenever he came on, Donaldstown by that stage had been 5-0 down. They were tired. They probably would prefer to say that apart from in the first 5 minutes when there were a couple of chances, they hadn't really let a glove on Glenavon during the game. So I suppose from that point of view, if you're going to throw the young lad on, it was probably at that stage, you know, whenever there's only 10-15 minutes to go when the game's over as a contest, why not throw him on? I know there's been a lot of reaction on social media about whether he was too young to play, and I can sort of understand where people are coming from, but at the end of the day, if you look at Glenavon's track record with bringing through young players, the likes of Mark Sykes, who's now playing for Bristol City, having gone to Oxford. You look at Bobby Burns, who went across to Hearts and is now playing at Glentoran. You look even at James Singleton, who's now playing full time at Glentoran. Even Shane Lavery. Shane Lavery, of course, at one stage was not far down the road here, Lurgan, I think. Was on Glenavon's books and obviously went across the water, came backside for Linfield, is now back at Blackpool and then Northern Ireland squad. You know, those players, I have no doubt will all tell you that Glenavon look after the young players extremely well and would not do anything to endanger any of the young players. And there's a belief there that if you're good enough, you're old enough.
I saw that this wasn't the first intention to put him on. He's what, the youngest in Great Britain or in Europe, or
certainly in the UK.
In the UK,
he would have beaten the world record.
Yeah, they were talking about putting him in the last game of the season when he was.
Now, I actually don't know if that could have happened, because I think there is a rule in the league that you have to be a minimum age to play, but not in the League Cup, is my understanding of it. I could be wrong on that, but that's my understanding. If he had played in that league game and there hadn't been a rule, then yes, he would have had the world record. But he ended up going with his dad to see Celtic lift the league title on Saturday, so he couldn't come, he couldn't play. So, which is fair enough.
Well, I understand it. I understand the dream, because as you know, I grew up going to Glenavon, and I believed I was good enough from 10 or 11 to play for them. So it would have been just what I'd expected.
Occasionally, I still believe that I'm good enough to play, but maybe not.
Good morning, Mr.
Donagh.
Downey.
But didn't want to go down at the rugby.
You're all right.
It's good to see you.
Keeping well.
Yes, indeed. You see, this is live. We see people all the time. We've got to get this in front of people where they're coming into the shop saying.
We should have said, actually, never really said at the start, we're sitting on the chatty bench, our own stopping ground. We've commandeered it for the day, and I think they're just walking past saying hello, so hello to them all. But to go back to the topic of Glenavon, I think Gary called it right. I know he's got there's been a lot of criticism about the decision. I think he's got a lot of well wishes. I think even FIFA were tweeting their congratulations at one stage, so I mean, if people are saying well done, you know, who are we to argue with them?
Absolutely. Well, is he likely to play again, say next Saturday or the day after?
No.
Or the day?
No, I don't think so. It was a one-off. Some people have called it publicity stunt, but like, as far as I'm aware, I would find it very strange if Glenavon have gone through the history books and gone, oh geez, there's a record we could break.
Like that. But plus, he's also been noted by lots of clubs already. A lot of interest in his activities.
That's the thing. Just sort of to go back to this whole thing about publicity stunt. I mean, we talked during the year. If you go back a few podcasts, you'll have heard an interview I did with Johnny McNabb, our deputy head of digital content, who covered the Milk Cup for us. Or sorry, not the Milk Cup. It's called the Super Cup now. I keep calling it the Milk Cup. And within his coverage, Glenavon's youth team got to the final of the Youth Cup, of the Super Cup youth section, and played a very good Charlton Flag side and lost in the final. Now, Johnny watched a lot of Lurgan games and picked Crystal White as one of the players to watch in the tournament. So, with that in mind, is it really that big of a shock that he's playing a first team game in a game against lower league opposition when they're 5-0, they're beating the team 5-0 with 15 minutes to go? So, why not give him a bit of first team experience so that the lad is ready for it whenever he goes across there?
It's very much a part of a longer story for that individual, and yeah, let's sprinkle a bit of dream.
We should be celebrating the fact that he has had this remarkable achievement, and if the reports in the press are to believe, the rule will now change as a result, because it was more guidance than a rule. The players shouldn't be any younger than 15.
So that means he'll keep that record.
He'll keep that record for the rest of his life. That's amazing. That's incredible. He'll forever be the youngest player ever to play in the United Kingdom.
And if he'd scored, and he was close to.
Like, we all remember whenever Wayne Rooney came on and he was the youngest player to score in the Premiership, and James Milner was the youngest player to come on and play in the Premiership before that. And now we're going to have a player who played for Glenavon in our own backyard, who now holds the record for being the youngest player ever to play in the United Kingdom. Fantastic.
Spoken as a true Glenavon media man.
Thank you.
Other news, the real world of the actual league itself.
So Glenavon got back to winning ways last week against Rough Riding, as we know. This week they played Donagh, won that game 6-0. So they're into the next round of the League Cup. The draw for that will take place on Saturday evening, so keep an eye out for what that looks like on your Lurgan on Sunday morning, to be honest. But Glenavon also faced Cliftonville on Saturday, a very tough game. Here is my report. Glenavon suffered defeat at Mourneview Park. A late goal by Ronan Hale, free kick from just about over there-ish. Makes a difference at Mourneview Park today, unfortunately. Again, Glenavon were well in up until the 83rd minute whenever the goal went in. A couple of good chances, probably didn't work outside the Cliftonville goalkeeper enough, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I think Glenavon will be happy enough with the performance. I think full credit has to go to Jack Malone, who was particularly impressive. Callum Burney at the back was very good too, but in the end, just no luck today for Glenavon. So finishes at Mourneview Park. Glenavon 0, Cliftonville 1. Don't worry, tell us what you really think. Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to the world of Gaelic games, where you and your sidekick Eugene have been out and about.
I think it's the other way around. Yeah, we've been to the next round of the Intermediate Championship, and we followed the ropes in the first game. They were successful in that. And this time round it is a local derby.
Welcome back to your Lurgan. The match has just finished here in David Park on a cold night, but the fans left absolutely roasting. One of them nights where it was unbelievable football. We've been criticising the game all year with the defensive play, but St Paul's will go over the line in extra time, 3-16 to 3-10, won by 6 points at the end of a scintillating match. Peter Nash, you're a former captain of St Paul's. You put your shoulder to the wheel tonight, and a fantastic performance on both sides, but you got over the line. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's brilliant to get to the end there now. Took us a while to get going. I'd say I actually didn't even feel comfortable, probably until the last 10 minutes, and then we started to settle ourselves, but we've a habit of doing that. But thankfully now, the training and all that we've done, the Staffney stood this, sir. We're planning the legs there, even we could probably go again, you know.
Brilliant. There was one player, I think we all picked him out, the big Foxy in goals, who was Commander Uri. I thought he was sensational, to be fair.
Yeah, he actually had plenty to do tonight. The Tones seemed to play a lot of high ball in, something that we actually are fond of doing, but it worked for them. 3 times, I think 3 goals they got there, but Foxy got himself together and was coming out and cleaned it out, so done well.
Well, Michael Lawson's promised a bad drink here, Michael, just to let you away. We'll not keep you back in your home turf. Right. How would you analyse the game?
Listen, it was everything it was going to be. Lurgan derby, tight, tenacious, a team with a bit more experience versus the youth of the Wolf Tones, and I think the right team got over the line. Probably that sucker punch at the end of normal time made them play, an extra 20 minutes that mightn't have been necessary. But listen, they dug deep, showed their experience when it counted, and they won quite comfortably in the end, I thought, so brilliant. Credit to them.
And of course, there were other things happening in the same area. Clan and Gale are looking forward to their first minor final, that's what they call it now, under 17s basically. So the senior championship's coming up again too. It's a busy time. As you might know, this is normally the time if the senior Gaelic teams of the counties would still be involved in All-Ireland competitions. Heaven forbid Armagh were this year, but they've moved the schedule back. so that all those games will end by the middle of July, as you know.
Very
And-
kind of them.
Yeah, very kind of. So September, the month particularly, the first weekend of September would have been the hurling finals. The third would have been traditionally the All Ireland final, and then the club games that would now taken place wouldn't have started. So we're in the middle of those, and it's very strange for some people.
It takes me back to the, obviously I'm going to refer back to football here, but the year of the COVID season, the football season didn't start until October. That was strange. You're all over the place. And we were playing games in late May and early June, which was very, very strange for me, because it was the first time that Gavin never could have played on my birthday, but didn't. Which is a real shame. I wanted Jimmy C to announce my name over the PA for a happy birthday to Donagh and Eugene. It never happened. So yeah,
we'll have to get a testimonial game or something on next time.
I deserve one. So I shouldn't pay any money for my hard work.
My own take on the movement of the game. No, I didn't like it. I'm traditionalist. I'm also a modernist. I like the old way. Go back to that, please, if you can. But if you're a club footballer and you missed all your players and you couldn't play them in the league and all sorts of stuff, it's a different reason. But that's for another day and another discussion.
I think that's pretty much it. Let's get this podcast wrapped up so I can get to the gym before it closes due to the strike.
Yeah. Give my regards to Jim. I'm a big favourite, as long as I'm looking from the outside. Yes, that's it from the Your Lurgan podcast this week. We're on just about everywhere. Tell them where we're available.
Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter.
And LinkedIn. I got him on that one. And we're also available on the street. I get more people saying, oh, I see your bits and pieces on Your Lurgan, and they don't throw anything. I think that's always a good sign. Thank you for not throwing.
Do you know something? They've got plenty of choice at the minute for things to throw at you.
I
Objects lying everywhere.
Put them in your own bin, as it were. We got a visit or two from a dog again. Really been nice being here in Lurgan Park. If you've guessed, that's where we are. We're on the chatty bench. Look out for some chatty bench stuff during the up and coming week, where we talk about well-being and people's approach to it. We'll also be talking to a few people who are doing different events. We'll not say what, but they're coming up in the coming week. Info at Your Lurgan to get in touch.
Don't knock us down. Please do not knock us down.
No. It's been a temptation. And thank you for being part of our community that we're hoping to build here, the Your Lurgan community, where you hear your news and your views, as it were. I'm Donagh and
And I'm Michael Scott.
See you next week.
Arrivederci.